All right, welcome to The Explainer, where we get right into the source material to figure out some pretty complex topics.
So today, we are diving deep into the astrological profile of Virgo. You know him, the zodiac's most meticulous sign. But is there something more going on behind that prim and proper exterior? Could they be secretly kinky? Well, let's get into the sources and see what we can find out.
Okay, so right off the bat, the sources point to this really fascinating contradiction, a paradox right at the heart of the Virgo personality. It's almost like a split personality that kind of defines their whole approach to life, and especially to love. So on one hand, you've got the Virgo that everybody thinks they know, right? The classic, dignified one, super orderly, analytical, almost famously modest. But then you start digging a little deeper into the astrological texts, you look at online discussions, and a totally different picture starts to emerge, a much more complex, much more intense picture. This is a side that craves control, that wants detailed, experimental encounters. So how does this whole paradox actually play out, in the bedroom? Well, let's start with the Virgo woman, because according to our sources, she embodies this whole thing in some really compelling ways. The classic astrological texts give us a really fascinating clue here. They actually describe the Virgo woman as a consummate actress. Think about that. Someone who can present one face to the world while holding a completely different one in reserve. So if you look at that classic profile, it says the Virgo woman is, well, she's outwardly reserved, she values a traditional approach, she's seen as serious, dignified, naturally modest. The text even goes so far as to suggest that she believes sex is mainly for procreation, not just for pleasure, and that she prefers to be taken, not to take the lead. But then you hop over to modern online discussions and wow, the picture just flips on its head. This comment from a Reddit user just nails it. It perfectly captures that all-or-nothing Virgo nature. Missionary or knife play, no in between. I mean, it's either the most conventional thing you can imagine or something from the absolute edge. There's just no middle ground. So what does this tell us? It suggests this personality that just swings between total control and complete surrender. And that's the real secret, right? This composed, almost prim and proper exterior is hiding a capacity for some extreme intensity. And the key thing is, it's not like one side is fake. They're both real. They're just waiting for the right moment to come out. Okay, so what about the Virgo man? Let's shift gears and see how this theme of being meticulous, of having this hidden depth applies to him. With him, it seems to be less about those dramatic swings and a lot more about methodical, calculated perfection. So the sources paint this picture of him as a really thoughtful, almost clinical lover. On the surface, you get modest, quiet, maybe a little shy, and his technique is described as aesthetic rather than sensual. What does that mean? It means he's focused on perfecting the art of it, the technique, and usually for his partner's benefit. He's a self-sacrificing lover who really aims to please and is totally open to suggestion. But see, that exact desire to please, that openness, that's what can lead him into territory that just shatters that shy stereotype. Take this Reddit comment, for example. Every Virgo I've ever met loves to be choked. It implies that a Virgo man's willingness to cater to what his partner wants can unlock a surprisingly intense side. And this really gets to the heart of the Virgo man's methods. He approaches sex almost like a subject to be studied, analyzed, and perfected. The sources say he finds a partner to be a curiosity, something to be examined, experimented with, cuddled, and catered to. So for him, it's not just about raw passion. It's a fascinating subject that he wants to get absolutely perfect. So now let's talk about fantasies, kinks, and control. Because this focus on detail, on analysis, on perfectionism, that is the absolute key to understanding a Virgo's unique fantasies. The devil, for them, is truly in the details. It's not about chaos or messiness. It's about highly structured, perfectly executed scenarios. And when you look across all the sources, you start to see this really clear pattern emerge in what turns a Virgo on. You've got meticulous craft, like with rope tying, absolute control, like with orgasm control, even cleanliness play, like shower sex. And then there's praise for perfection, a praise kink. It all comes back to the same thing, a deep, deep appreciation for detail, for control, and for a job done perfectly. And this goes way deeper than you might think. Let's take shibari, or rope bondage, for example. For a Virgo, an astrologer suggests that the real turn-on isn't just about the submission aspect.
It's about the appreciation for the craft of the knots. It's the artistry, the technical skill involved. That's what really gets them going. Yeah, it's not just about the act itself, but the art and the precision of the act. That's the theme you see over and over. I mean, one of the sources even brings up the fantasy of a French maid with actual cleaning involved. That just perfectly blends that classic Virgo love for order and cleanliness with eroticism. The point is, whatever it is, it just has to be done right. Okay, so given this whole complex profile, this balance of a reserved exterior with this deep, hidden desire for controlled perfection, who can actually keep up? Which signs are the most compatible? Well, the sources are pretty consistent on this. They point to fellow Earth signs, so that's Taurus, Capricorn, and even another Virgo. It makes sense, right? They share that same practical and sensual approach to the world. But interestingly, they also mention the mentally agile Gemini. Their intellectual curiosity can really engage a Virgo's analytical mind, which creates a totally different but just as powerful kind of connection. And all of this leaves us with one final big question about the whole Virgo enigma. Is their obsession with perfection their greatest strength in the bedroom, or is it their ultimate undoing? I mean, does that relentless drive for the ideal create these amazing, perfectly executed experiences, or does it set an impossibly high standard, one that the messy, beautiful reality of human connection can just never quite measure up to? That, maybe, is the ultimate question for the Zodiac's perfectionist.